Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to see some of the strategy behind survival of the fittest. We're going to jump straight in with the game. Let's get it started. To start, it's a first come first serve. You place your tokens on the board wherever you feel it's going to best suit you. Now straight out the gate, this is where the strategy starts, because if you are green as an example, it doesn't help you to put one of your prey animals in the brown zone or in the olive zone or in the yellow zone. So you want to try and keep your prey more on your side of the board. At least until the lions start running, and then you can see very quickly which way you need to start shifting. So if we have a quick look at who's lined up where, I think that Oliver's played a pretty sneaky move. Oliver's put that impala in the middle between the yellow and the brown, and that's going to get both of those lions, hopefully for Olive, running up the wrong side of the board away from its sort of zebra and impala where they've put them close to their starting point there. Green has tried something similar. They've put the green impala midway up the board, which I don't know if that's a very strong play, because that might make the olive lion run straight in towards where its zebra and sable are hiding away behind the bushes there. Okay, well, let's get straight into it. First roll of the dice goes to green, and we'll go clockwise from there. 3 and a 1. Okay, that's a pretty slow start. You might as well run the lion and move the zebra. You know, in the first round or two of the game, you need to see where the lions are running before you start moving the prey. So, okay, you just kind of mill your prey around. They kind of chew a few bushes there, hiding behind those obstacles. But the green lion has gone up towards the olive side. Yellow pulls a slightly better dice to start with the 6 and a 3, and you can see that straight out the gate, the yellow lion has charged towards that olive impala. So that was a good ploy in terms of getting the lion running away from you. And this does put that impala and the brown prey in a bit of an awkward spot. Brown, some pretty slow dice to start, but the same trick has worked with olive. So the brown lion has also run towards that olive impala. There's pretty good prey. You can see yellow's got a lot of their prey out in the middle there. So it's not a bad plan. Running towards the olive side with the 3, I think you've got a long way to go before you start endangering any prey. Okay, so what Oliver's done is put 5 moves towards the lion. So they've actually gone the other way around. Not a big run for the olive. They've put 5 towards the lion. And I think that olive impala that's facing the lion is going to maybe go for a bit of a run. Yeah, there we go. Just trying to open up some space between it. Green keeping the poor dice coming. Not much to say there. Still trying to pick a direction and run. Yellow, some more good dice. Okay, so that little run from the olive impala didn't actually help. It might have been better to have sort of just sacrificed that one and even got that line one space closer. Okay, the benefit of hindsight. But the brown sable is now in real trouble. And let's see what brown can come up with. Now, that's a pretty cool play. So I got a 5 and a 2. Gave the 5 to the sable. And the sable's run in the opposite direction of where that brown impala is. So that's making the lion choose, okay, do I go back or do I go forward? So one of them should escape. The lion continues down his same path. 6 and a 1 for the olive. Okay, there we go. Easy meal, first brown gone. The placing of that brown impala where it was, I think it's just brought attention to itself, to be honest, because now look where that lion is. He's got an impala just onto one side of the obstacle and a zebra just on the other side. So he's in a pretty good spot. 6 and a 4 for the green. Finally getting some decent numbers. The green lion straight towards where that olive sable is hiding. So he looks like he's in a spot to bother. And that green impala managed to get away from the yellow lion. So that was pretty good dice. 6 and a 3 for the yellow. Okay. Again, no real threat on the yellow side. So yellow's having a free run of things at the moment. Managed to get that brown impala as well, and the olive impala is in real trouble. But again, there's no, you can allocate the big dice towards your line when there's no pressure on your prey. So maybe a bit of luck, but certainly a good start for the yellow prey. The first doubles of the game, double 5. And what they've done is they've blocked in that zebra and possibly the impala. It's going to depend if yellow can get a good enough throw to get rid of that, to get that impala out of trouble. Okay, remember that sable's there as well, but the zebra is firmly stuck. That was a good use of the obstacle. Oh, second doubles. Doubles are coming in hot and fast here for olive. Okay, what Olive has done is they've run the Olive Impala 4 steps away from the lion and then put the obstacle down. Of course, you can place the obstacle before, during, or after a move. So that was a pretty slick move. And then the lion is just getting that little bit closer to those 3 points from the brown zebra. Green with a 5 and a 3. Okay, so what they've done, because that obstacle's gone up from the olive throw, the green lion is only running 3 steps. So it hasn't got the sable yet. Look, that sable's not going anywhere. But they've used the 5 to open up some space between the prey and splitting their moves between the 2 green impala. So trying to make it a little bit harder to get corralled in, to get boxed in. 6 and a 2 for the yellow goes 3 and 3 splits. So also just moving the prey, opening them up, trying to just at least make the brown lion make decisions. That's basically all. So now he's only 3 steps away from that impala. So the sable didn't need to go that far, because if he goes for the sable, that gives the zebra time to get out. If he goes for that impala and the zebra, that's pretty much that, and the sable gets out. So that was a pretty strong move, splitting those numbers up. That is an interesting call. You use the 5 to guarantee that impala and to try to get in on that zebra. At least they get some points on the board, but that zebra is very, very close to that lion. We'll see what Olive can do about it. Oh, Brown gets away with murder. Brown gets away with murder. The olive throws a 3 and a 2. Terrible dice at a terrible time. He's still very close. He's right there. You can smell that delicious zebra. But that very bold play has paid off. More doubles. Changing the board. Keeping it going. Green blocks that off there. Gets a little bite to eat. And splits some of the dice between the prey. That was a pretty good use of the obstacle from green. They've blocked off that escape path there. So as green he's eaten that sable, 2 points in the bag, he can now loop around the rest of those obstacles, and there's an olive impala, or 2 olive impalas, and the olive zebra, and a brown impala roped into that little section that he's created. So that was a pretty good play. Needs a couple good dice just to get him ahead, but that was a strong play, that one. He set himself up nicely for the next few moves. Yellow has responded with a 5 and a 2. Not much to do on that one, so we just carry on going. 5 and a 1. Another tough call. You see, you got Brown was in a bad situation there, with the zebra very close to the olive lion and the sable very close to the yellow lion. So kind of hedging their bets a bit. It might have been better just to have put everything together, and sort of try to keep one of them alive rather than moving the other one. But okay, we'll see if that pays off. Once again, that zebra has survived by the skin of its teeth. It's playing a very, very risky game with the olive lion, but still in the game. So the strategy for Brown seems to be holding out. Green coming up with some decent dice. Okay, so green implementing that sweep around move that it was trying to do. Having roped everything in there quite nicely, it's time to start executing. So it puts the big dice towards the lion and charges in. No real pressure on the prey at this point, so looking good from that side, and can afford the 2 on the prey. Easy move there by yellow. Nice dice. Just take what's available. And again, also no real pressure on the open yellow prey. That zebra is in trouble. There's no point in sort of trying to save him now. It's better just to use the moves that you have to spread the rest of the prey out. So the problem that yellow could be facing at the moment is that they've got everything together in one side of the board. You've got to try and split that up as much as you can. 2 and a 1 for Brown never helps anyone. You might as well go 2 to the zebra and see if your luck can hold out a third round. It's not looking good, and of course that zebra's boxed in, so there's no need to rush that lion in. No, that was the end of the luck for that brown zebra. It did well to hold out as long as it did, but even a paltry 3 was enough to get it, and olive adds to its points tally. Great dice for the green there, again eating what's on offer, executing that sweep around move that they had planned with that obstacle. Very nicely done, and just keeping on splitting up that prey. Didn't split them up enough. Yellow with a 6 and a 5 managed to get that lion all the way down. Now what's quite interesting is the yellow zebra has moved right into that little pocket. Now obviously it's not, the odds of it escaping are not great. That's just part of being caught in with an obstacle. But what you can do is go all the way deep into that corner and force the other lion to run all the way in. This keeps that lion off the board longer. So you're accepting that the 3 points are gone. Your zebra is finished, but you've kept that lion in there as long as possible, which is one less lion chasing the rest of your prey. 5 and a 2 for Brown. Pretty easy decision on this one. Again, your lion is trapped in that little pocket, which isn't great. You want to try and get him out of there as quick as you can, but you also are down to your last prey. So that brown impala, which was stuck in those bushes, better start running. So pretty much all the big dice from now are going towards that brown impala, because he's got to survive if he wants to stay in the game. He's not in a great spot. So if you look at where that olive lion is, if the olive lion decides to come around and go for that brown impala with the green lion chasing, that's brown's game finished. Remember, you have to have prey to play. So if that once that impala gets eaten, brown is out the game. I don't think it's a big problem, because if I was the olive lion, I would go down towards where that yellow sable is. There's far more prey down there than chasing one impala running around. There we go, 6 and a 5. So again, the threat of that green lion is coming in. 6 points to the zebra, get him out of trouble, and then use the 5 on the lion to try and get into the position of where all those prey are. That's a solid move. 5 and a 4 by green. Not much to do there, just sort of keep chasing in on where those prey are. The trap prey anyway, and then move your zebra away from where that lion is trying to catch you. Okay, so that was an interesting call. So this is very much a case of attack versus defense. Yellow's gone for defense on this one, moving the sable away from the olive lion, which makes good sense. But then you sacrifice the chase of the zebra. So the yellow line at the bottom there has now got quite a big gap between it and the zebra. It does, however, have the sable and the impala lined up as well. So if it can get close into that trio, you can't run 3 prey away very quickly. So that's not a bad plan. Just keep moving into that area and force green to make some dice decisions. Much the same thing for brown. Forced into this decision more than anything else, because they've lost 4 prey. They're down to their last one. They have to give the big dice to the impala, get him away from that lion and keep him alive. Luckily for brown, the olive lion went the other way, which was probably its better move, but that's opened up a little bit of space to get that brown out of that trap and into some open space where he can run around and try and get away. The downside to that move is that brown lion still has not got that yellow zebra. So you can see how effective that move was by yellow, moving into the corner pocket, just buying yourself some time, making sure that that lion has to work as hard as possible to catch him and keep him off the board as long as possible. Okay, that was an interesting move there by Olive. Okay, so you've got the 4 and the 3. You've allocated the 4 to the prey. Obviously, they're right next to a lion. It's pretty much time to run. But then they split that 2-2, which was clever. So what they've done is they've put the zebra, which is the bigger target, on the other side of that little closed trap. Okay, and the impala into the closed trap. Now that impala for sure is gone. There's no question. If the lion wants to run up there, that's an easy catch. There's still one obstacle missing, so no one's moving those obstacles for a while. That's a guaranteed 1 point. But that means that you're buying that zebra a lot of time to run around the corner there and to get away. Or you can go for the zebra, which is the 3 points. That's the big ticket. And leave that impala, which gives it time to run the other way. So that's a very clever play by Olive, splitting the decision-making of the green lion. Nice strategy, nice move. Green responds by going for that impala, get that guaranteed meal, and that has bought Olive time to run around the side. And then what they've done is they've split the prey up, so they're just keeping that zebra more than 6 spaces away from the lion, and then moving that second impala up and out the way. So that was exactly what we were saying just now, trying to not have all of them boxed into one area, because it's very difficult to run multiple prey away from a lion at the same time. Your best bet without a doubt is to split them up and make the lion make a decision. There's an obvious threat of that olive lion coming in for that yellow impala. So again, the lion is accepting the 2 spaces, just slowly stalking forward. I don't know if he's trying to catch them by surprise, but he's moving very slowly towards them, but getting that impala away. So now, if you look at the yellow prey at this point, it's starting to look a lot better, because they've split them up. At one time, they were all together in one little pocket, which is very easy to catch. But that by running that impala up into that far olive corner, you're making the olive lion make a decision. Where's he going to go? Does he go for the 2 points for the sable? Does he come down for that one impala, or does he go across for the other impala? So whatever it decides to do, it's not attacking all 3 at once. 6 and a 5 for brown. Finally gets some traction, finally gets that zebra, and now can start getting out of that little cove. They used again the big dice to get away from the lion, which was clever. There's now plenty of space between the green lion and the brown impala. However, the olive lion, which is in the center of the board, has a very good stab at pretty much anything it wants at the moment. We'll see what he decides to do. So the olive lion has run into that pocket where those 3 impala are. A little bit of work to do, a little bit of chasing to be done, but is in a good spot to get 3 points. Doubles, the last obstacle onto the board. Green again. Now what green has done quite cleverly is blocked off the option for the lion to go back around and catch the zebra and the sable. So now that lion is forced to run around that obstacle, the long way around, let's say, which buys the green zebra and sable plenty of time and space to get into the middle of the board and try and get away from that lion. Now double ones, okay, no one wants the ones, but the use of the obstacle is still key, and I think it was used quite nicely there. It's also blocked that impala's escape, so the impala has to come back up and around as well. Simple play by yellow, 5 and a 4, just moving everything up where it needs to go, trying to keep a distance between the olive lion and that yellow impala that's in danger. So you can see, because those 2 green impala are there, the yellow impala doesn't need to be 6 spaces away from the lion, or more than 6 spaces away, because it's going to detour and catch those early impala first. So even though it is 6 spots away, it's more likely that the olive lion will stop by one of the other impala first, probably that close one, and buy it some time and space. So that's a pretty solid move. Again, decent dice for the brown, starting to get a bit of movement. So the brown lion finally out of that trap, most likely going for that yellow sable. And because the olive lion went to the right towards that group of impala, it's bought that brown impala a little bit more space and time. So he's got out of trouble there quite nicely. That's exactly what we thought was going to happen. The 6 and the 5, great dice for olive, but it goes and it did take that green impala first, which bought that yellow impala a bit of space. Now, if the yellow impala can run the one way and the green impala can run the other way, so a little bit of teamwork going on here against olive, they're going to make that olive lion's life quite difficult. Of course, the green impala still has to worry about the yellow lion that's coming around the corner there. 5 and a 2, not much to do there, just get that zebra away. They're trying to split those 3 prey animals up, and they've got to get someone to another side of the board, just try and create a bit of space between them, which makes it a lot harder for the lions to catch. But you can actually see how well that strategy of the olive split worked. So they put that impala up in that little cove, and then the zebra ran around the side, because look where that green lion is now. A couple bad rolls and he's in no man's land. There's just nothing in that third of the board. I mean, he's really found himself quite isolated. So it was a wonderful trick by olive to get that lion to go up into that space. 6 and a 1 for yellow gets the lion very close to those 2 points. So now, if you're green, okay, obviously you're in a lot of trouble because you're only 4 spaces away from your zebra being eaten. But if you can run that sable, so do the same trick as what olive did, and run that sable down towards the center of the board at the bottom, it's going to make that lion have to choose the 2 points for the sable or the 3 points for the zebra. It's going to depend on the dice roll to see what comes. 5 and a 2. So now you can see that brown impala is starting to just mill about, starting to eat some grass, eat some leaves, do what it's got to do. There's no need for it to run at this point, because it also doesn't know where to run. You've got 2 lions on the right of the board and 1 in no man's land at the top. It's in a very good position to see which lion goes where, and from there to make a decision and react. So at the moment it's just milling about, and that buys a bit of time for the brown lion to get some good dice and get closer to that yellow sable. Poor dice, but a solid outing for olive. Got both of those impala in one shot. The threat of the yellow lion forced green to move the zebra up, and now of course the next move would be to keep that sable alive, and they completely forgot about that impala, as did yellow, worrying about its sable with the brown lion, and that was just a happy feeding frenzy for the olive lion. Got 2 impala in one shot there. Very nicely done. Double sixes. So on the 5th double, we know that the board starts to change. So all 4 obstacles are on the board now, which means that you get to pick up one of the obstacles and replace it. Green decides to very cleverly open up that middle corridor and block off the left-hand side. So now that zebra has to run straight down the board. So it's cut off its option to loop around and to start playing sort of chasing your tail type of game. It's also opened up that middle so the zebra can run into some space. So wonderful dice at a wonderful time, but I think still cleverly done. A nice way to block that off and to try and get yourself closer to that zebra. Oh, yellow responds with some more doubles. Look at that. Very easily done. Splits the dice with the prey, but most importantly got that obstacle up between the brown lion and the yellow sable. And that's opened up a path for the yellow impala to run around that corner. And of course, with some good dots behind you, The yellow lion managed to catch the green sable as well, so 2 more points in the bag there. Very nicely done. Wow, the doubles keep coming. 3 and a 3. That wonderful trick of blocking off that line lasted exactly 1 move. Brown managed to open that up, slow its lion down wherever it's going to go, and it's opened up a chance to catch that yellow sable again. So great response from Brown. Terrible dice by Olive. 1 and a 2. Really nothing to do with that. But here comes green, starting to move a bit quicker now. So it's getting some good dice. That plan of closing that off has worked very nicely. They've got the zebra and the impala lined up in front of it. And they've opened up good space for that green zebra to get away from both the yellow and the olive line. Yellow responds with some terrible dice. Creeps away slowly with the sable. Line not much to do. Double ones again, not great in terms of number, but great in terms of the opportunity to block them in. Moving that obstacle right up there to try and slow that sable down. It's not going to stop it, of course, but it definitely will slow it down. That was another opportunity to look at attack versus defense, because what they could have done is taken that obstacle and tried to slow the green lion down to get that brown impala away. There wasn't a chance to block it off without opening up a lot of other space. So that was the only obstacle that wasn't really in use at the time that could be useful. But they've gone for attack to try and slow the prey down from the yellow to try and catch them. And accepting that there's a bit of a risk from the green lion on the brown impala there. Olive using the 5 to get the zebra away. Nothing wrong with that. Just in time as well, because decent dice from green. So have a look how green's managed to turn that around. They were in no man's land just a few rounds ago. They've come all the way up the side. 2 good prey options in front of it. And look how well placed that zebra is. That zebra's now gone to what was the no man's land. Completely left alone. No lions chasing it. It's a long way to go for all 3 of the other lions to catch it. They've done very well to get themselves into good space. That was a sneaky move by yellow. So 4 and a 1. Obviously your main danger in terms of attack and defense is the yellow sable is a few spots away from being eaten. And what they've done is they've moved them through that little gate in the obstacle and then used the lion as an additional blocker. So it was still only 6 spots away. So a big 6 could have got the brown lion there. But remember, you cannot go over another animal. So for 1 move, that is a very good blocking option. And they've used the lion to actually protect that sable. So even if brown gets a 6, he's still going to have to hang around where that lion is there. So he actually ended up getting a 6. But because of the danger of the green lion, couldn't go for it either way. Had to get that impala away. That is his last prey. So I think the green is down to 1 and brown is down to 1. So they're in the most danger because once those animals are gone, their game is finished. Brown is in a lot of trouble at the moment because that green lion is actually catching up to it. The green zebra, however, is in a good spot in the middle of nowhere. Big dice for Olive. The timing of the good dice couldn't have been better there. That olive lion has run right into the path of that yellow sable. So he's in a spot of bother and he used the other dice to get the zebra right out of the way of that lion. So pretty good dice at a great time. 2 good options taken. Double ones. Double ones just changes the board and no one goes anywhere fast. Now, cleverly done. So look where that green lion is coming around the corner there. He's got the zebra on the one side and the brown impala on the other side. But he's also got that yellow impala that's now boxed in. So that was quite a clever move. Opened up some space for that green zebra to run around those obstacles as well. So even though no one went anywhere quickly, it was still a pretty strong move, I think. Easy decisions there. Run that sable 5. You've got to try and open up whatever space you can. You might not get 6 spaces away, but you've got to try and put as much space between you as possible. Maybe they don't throw good dice. You never know. And of course that lion now moving into a good spot to catch that brown impala, who's in a lot of trouble because you've got the green lion on the one side and the yellow lion on the other side. And of course that olive zebra just hanging around the back hoping everyone forgets about him. Tough choices. It's a tough choice because of that obstacle behind the yellow impala. It couldn't really go through the small gap between those 2 permanent obstacles because it was just going to be too close to that yellow lion. So it's not a great plan because you've got a lion on either side of you and no way out. But it's bought itself some time. You never know. Maybe a doubles comes up. Maybe the game changes again. At this point, it's just about trying to stay alive as many rolls as possible and seeing if you can't get yourself out of trouble in some or other way. So that yellow sable did a good job trying to get away, but it didn't do a good enough job. A couple big dice, and that was the end of that. 2 more points for Olive, and the zebra is doing the same thing now that brown impala is doing. It's just trying to hide. It's also its last animal. They're all down to 1. The next one to lose a prey animal is off the board. So at this point it starts getting quite tight. It's hard to think of a strategy now because you needed to spread them out earlier to make sure at least one has stayed alive. So everyone's done a good job in that regard. But right now it's pretty much a straight shoot off. Can you get away from the nearest lion faster than they can get to you? Double ones. A lot of double ones today. Okay, that was a pretty solid move. Double one, you're going nowhere in a hurry. Now, they could have used that obstacle to close that off, to make sure that that lion couldn't get to that zebra. But you would then also be closing the zebra in. So you would effectively be killing the zebra if you had closed it off. So what they've done is left one space open on the far side of the board there, which is clever. So yes, the lion can get around. It's got a long way to go to get around, but it means that the zebra can also get out. It's not stuck. So it can still go left or right depending on what happens. Whoa. Doubles for days. Look at that. Yellow getting in on the act. So again, double two. Numbers aren't great. Better than double ones. But managed to move that obstacle and shift the impala out the side. And at least it's bought it some time to try and get around the right-hand side of that far obstacle. 6 and a 1. So that impala we know is going nowhere in a hurry. He's pretty much stuck between the two lines. So you might as well use the big dots to get in on that zebra and try and get there before the green lion does, or before the yellow lion does for that matter. So not much to do there, trying to eat before he dies, effectively. So same thing there, just trying to keep that zebra alive. You know, you might roll ones and twos. In that case, the zebra stays alive another couple of rounds. You never know when the double six is going to hit. And that obstacle that the green placed to protect its zebra has worked quite nicely. So it's made the lion run around, and it's bought itself some time to try and get out of that situation. Oh, more doubles. Goodness me. Now it makes more sense to close that in. So green is just getting doubles at all the right times. Double two, so not high on the movement, but now they can use it to block it off, because now that zebra can run away. The lion's got to go all the way around that obstacle to catch him. In a straight shootout, I would put money on the zebra to get away. So that was a solid move. Solid move at a right time. Big dice. There we go. 6 points allocated to the yellow lion, and he catches the brown impala. That's the end of brown. The lion leaves the board, can take a moment to go and cry and feels a bit sorry for itself, but it is out the game. Brown did not very well. 4 points at the end of the day, and the first one eliminated. I have to try again next time, so whatever brown did not work. This is one of those hope for the best situations. You've allocated the big dice to the zebra. Because he's stuck between two lines, he's guaranteed to get caught. Got a 6 at the right time, and now you just pick the nearest one and try and run past him. The old switcheroo, see if you can get out of jail for free there. I mean, they need a 3 to catch him, but it's better than being a sitting duck. So let's see what happens there. It was the only play they had left. Double fours. Green is just absolutely hammering the doubles. Easy catch to get the last of the Olive animals. Olive is out the game. Olive did quite well though. 9 points for Olive. As it stands, the top scorer. Not a bad effort. Second one eliminated. Okay, it would have been nice if they could have stayed in the game a bit longer. Maybe given that green zebra a bit of trouble. But by catching the last of the Olive prey, the green has actually bought its zebra just an absolute glorious amount of time to try and get out of trouble there. Because look where the yellow lion is. The only other lion that can trouble it is at the bottom of the board. It's a full board away. It's got a lot of time to try and get out of trouble while it goes after that last yellow impala. So, if we have a look at the game now, we've got green against yellow, 1 versus 1. Not much left on the board. But let's take a quick look at the score. So, Olive got 9 and Brown got 4. Okay, Brown is obviously out. But let's look at green and yellow. So, green has 7 points already in the tank, and yellow has 8 points. You would say, okay, well, Olive at the moment is winning, then yellow, then green. But because green still has his zebra on the board, remember that the last player on the board gets to keep the points of their prey that are on the board. It would add the 3 points to its tally, so that takes it up to 10, plus it would have eaten the impala, so 11. So green can very much still win this. And of course the reverse applies to yellow, where it would keep its 1 point from the impala that's on the board, but it would have eaten the zebra, so that's 3 points in the tank. So you're looking at a 4-point sway. So at this point, it's still possible that green or yellow could win, and Olive comes second or third, would depend on how it plays out. So let's see what happens. Moves that obstacle in, just trying to slow it down a little bit. Now it's a straight shootout. It's now a case of who can roll the big dice when. Doubles keep coming, double one, block it in, make life more tough for it. Still, it's going to come down to big dice. 5s and 6s, those help tremendously. Okay, the lion making a big run, the impala getting out of trouble for free. Big dice going towards the lion, trying to catch that impala. 6 and a 1, that helps. Yellow getting very close to the green zebra, and that green zebra can only run forward. It can only run towards the lion. So maybe green could have allocated those early dice differently. It made a big charge at the yellow impala, but maybe what it should have done is got that green zebra out of trouble first. Well, we'll see how it plays out. 3 and a 4. The big dice having to go to the zebra now. 5 and a 1. Wow-wee. Okay, now, here's a big decision. You've got a 5 and a 1. This is a tough split at a tough time. So you're 7 spots away from the zebra, which will get you 2 spots away. But the green lion is also only 6 spots away from your impala. So if you put the 1 towards the impala, he's out of trouble, but it's a risky move. You could put the big dice towards the impala and get yourself clean out of trouble, or you could go in for the kill. So this is straight up attack versus defense. Do you go for it, or do you try and survive another round? Okay, yellow's gone for it. They've put the big dice into the attack, into the lion, kept the impala alive for at least one more round, and let's see what dice green can come up with. 6 and a 4. Good dice at a good time. So, same decision that the yellow team had. Do you go for the 6 towards the prey and keep it alive, or do you go in for that kill? They've done the opposite. They've played defense. They've gone to try and keep the zebra alive, back themselves to chase down that impala on another round. 6 and a 1. So that's gone the other way with the 6 going towards the impala, trying to keep him alive now. So they played attack on the last round and defense on this round, just trying to make sure that they can stay alive another round. And similarly, it's gone the other way. Green has now gone on the attack versus defense. So a lot of flip-flopping decision-making going on here. If green had put that all into defense, it would be well away at the moment. If it had put it all into attack, it might have already won the game. But going half and half, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what plays out here. True to flip-flopping form, yellow's gone back to attack, put everything into that. It's opened up a nice gap on the defense there, and is 2 spaces away from that zebra. Green's going to need a big roll, or it's pretty much game over at this point. And gets the worst dice possible. Horrible dice for green. Nothing to do except try and run those 2 spaces and hope for the best. And it all comes down to this throw. That's good enough. There we go. Yellow wins out. Well done to yellow. Okay, well, there we have it. So you can see, especially at the end there, how that decision making could have changed the outcome. If green had gone all in on attack, maybe it would have won. If it had gone all in on defense, maybe it would still be playing. I think that the flip-flopping, the going half and half, didn't help. But at the time, you've got to make a decision and try and see what you can get. Yellow used its luck when it had it. It timed its decisions a bit better, and it came out the winner. So there we go. That's how 4 different strategies have produced 4 different results. You can see how the obstacles were used very well at times and maybe a bit poorly at others. The second last obstacle green had, it could have tried to close in that impala completely rather than just trying to slow it down. It could have used one of the obstacles earlier on for defense instead of attack. This is it. You've got to make these decisions. You've got to try and work out what you think is going to work best and then hope that the dice play the game. 4 different ways of playing, 4 different options, and 4 different results. So it will be interesting to put those numbers to use. So we use the same dice again and see if we tried a different strategy, if we gave each one of the 4 teams a different mindset, and let's see if with the same numbers you can get a different winner. That would be quite interesting. So you can see just how much strategy is involved in the game and how much you need to sort of plan ahead and try and work out what you're trying to do. And then you use the dice as you get them. So when you get the 1s and 2s, okay, they're not great. But if you're able to defend yourself at that point, or if you have split yourself up enough, you can stay alive. So when you get the 5s and 6s, you can charge in and really go for it. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you stopping by. I'd love to know what you think. Any comments that you have, please put them in the comment section and I'll try and respond to all of them. We'll see if we can work out some new strategies, see if we can find any other way of doing it. If you think that one of the colors should have made a different decision at a different time, let me know. We can maybe try and play that out and see if that would have worked. Love to hear back from you, and thanks for watching.